Most tax pros leave a message.
It's Jane. I'm moving on to a TurboTax expert who beat your price. Adam Devine, tell him how I feel.
Hey, tax pro, she's been thinking twice. Best believe TurboTax will beat your price. This is a tax break.
Switch to a TurboTax Live expert and we'll beat what you paid your pro last tax season. Make the switch at TurboTax.com/beatyourprice. TurboTax full service only. Sign up by 12/20/2024 and file by 4/1/2025. Full details at TurboTax.com/beatyourprice.
This is not how sane people act.
If you just read the bio for Dr. Steve, host of Weird Medicine on Sirius XM 103 and made popular by two really comedy shows, Opie and Anthony and Ron and Fez, you would have thought that this guy was a bit of, a clown.
Why can't you give me the respect that I'm entitled to?
I've got diphtheria crushing my esophagus. I've got Ebola vibes dripping from my nose. I've got the leprosy of the heartbound, exacerbating my incredible woes. I want to take my brain now and blast it with the wave, an ultrasonic, echographic, and a pulsating shave. I want a magic pill for all my ailments, the health equivalent of Citizen Kane. And if I don't get it now in a tablet, I think I'm doomed and I'll have to go insane. I want a requiem for my disease, so I'm paging Dr. Steve.
From the world-famous Cardiff Electric Network studios in beautiful downtown Tukey City, it's Weird Medicine, the first and still only uncensored medical show in the history of broadcast radio, now a podcast. I'm Dr. Steve with my little pal, Dr. Scott, the traditional Chinese medicine provider who gives me street cred with the whack alternative medicine assholes. Hello, Dr. Scott.
Hey, Dr. Steve.
This is a show for people who never listened to a medical show on the radio or on the internet. If you have a question you're embarrassed to take to your regular medical provider, if you can't find an answer anywhere else, give us a call, 347-766-4323. That's 347-POOHEAD. Follow us on Twitter at Weird Medicine or at DrScottWM. Visit our website. It's drsteve.com for podcasts, medical news, and stuff you can buy. Most importantly, we are not your medical providers. Take everything you hear with a grain of salt. Don't act on anything you hear on this show without talking it over with your healthcare provider. Please don't forget stuff.drsteve.com, stuff.drsteve.com. I'm going to hopefully this week sit down and make it a little bit more robust. But right now you can just go there and click straight through. It takes you to Walmart, which I used to, sort of make fun of. But honestly, I've been ordering more and more stuff from them because, and what one person pointed out is if you order to have it shipped to you, you don't always know where it's coming from. It can be from a third party, like Amazon does. But you can also order it and just have them deliver it.
Yes, very much.
And it just shows up at your house. Yep. I mean, they have brick and mortar stores. That's the difference between them and Amazon. And for most of the stuff that I want, this is working out for me. So stuff.drsteve.com, we appreciate it. Dr. Scott's tried using it. I did find
absolutely.
I found where you did that. So
I love places in ordering being able to go right to the store and pick it up. They just bring it out to the car.
Yeah. You
I don't have to walk through or anything.
Try that with Amazon.
Exactly.
Amazon.
Son of bitches.
Stealing money from us.
Stupid.
Anyway, on that stuff.drsteve.com, you can scroll down and see the Roadie robotic tuner and also the Roadie Coach, which NP Mel B got hers, and she has started working with it. So we're going to get her in the studio, and she's going to play a song with us someday, very soon, after learning how to play by using the Roadie Coach. She's never touched an instrument in her life. So this is going to be very interesting. Check out Dr. Scott's website at simplyherbals.net. We'll talk about it in a minute. And patreon.com/Weird Medicine. I'm putting all the normal world stuff on there and all of my new sort of single production pieces go to Patreon first before they work out to their way out to the regular YouTube channel. So check out patreon.com/Weird Medicine. If you want me to say fluid to your mama, Cameo.com/Weird Medicine. I've dropped my price again to $5. I like doing it. It's just fun to do. And I enjoy it. But also check out Dave Landau on Cameo and Vinnie Paulino on Cameo because I turned them, I referred them to Cameo, so I get I think 2% of everything that they do. So if you want to get somebody actually funny to do your cameo for you, have them do it. It still helps the show. And all of the proceeds from Cameo go to a really good place, my ham radio fund. So there you go. All right, Dr. Scott's otherwise engaged. He's doing something else. But anyway.
Yes, I'm typing.
All right. All right, very good. Don't forget Dr. Scott's website at simplyherbals.net. That's simplyherbals.net. How are things going over there, Dr. Scott?
Pretty good. Been pretty busy. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Oh, very good. Okay. You need some tchotchkes to send out to people.
We're getting close. Yep.
If you order something from Dr. Scott and you say that you listen to Weird Medicine, he sends you this stupid crap. People tweet it out. Look what Dr. Scott sent me. Mm-hmm. But it's all
fancy stuff.
Swag that we make. That's Weird Medicine themed. And check out drsteve.com. And then check me out on Normal World. The last one I did was the spectrum of feces, and I don't think it went over so well. I think it was a little bit too gross. So I may have to back off. I mean, Landau just had the big, it looked like deer in the headlight, and I don't know if they had prepped him for it.
Oh, really?
Or what? But yeah, I don't think they liked it very much.
Oh, gosh.
So that's too bad.
Poop talk. That's important stuff, though.
But because I've learned how to do some of this stuff with them and watch them do it and, ask questions and all that when I was there at the studio, I've been doing some of my own. So I did one for Eric Nagel's 10th anniversary for his show and just did it in front of the green screen, edited it, and, added the background and images and assets and stuff like that. It was fun. And I did one on borderline personality disorder, not talking about anyone in particular. Check that out at Dr. Steve. No, at Weird. That's not right. None of those are right. Check that out on youtube.com/@weirdmedicine. And I'm going to be doing more of that stuff. And the Patreon channel, patreon.com/weirdmedicine, gets all that stuff first.
Cool.
And then it sits there for a while, and then it goes over to the other side. So anyway, all right. Very good. You got any topics for us today, Dr. Scott?
I could come up with a couple if we need to.
Wait, you're doing show prep now after we've started the show.
Pretty much.
No,
is that not how it works?
No.
Oh, shoot. No. I do have an interesting story about an American.
This is not how sane people act.
I must have slept through this show prep this morning. Hey, I did see this interestingly. An American family members who consumed undercooked bear meat infected with brain worms.
Oh, yeah. No, that's a real thing.
Yeah, so it's interesting.
If you're going to eat wild meat particularly, cook it thoroughly.
Yes, yeah. Well,
the only stuff you don't have to cook all the way through is beef, and that's because of the structure of beef and the fact that we have the USDA that, makes sure that there aren't parasites in our beef supply or does the best that they can to prevent that. Some stuff will still slip through. Mm-hmm. But you can eat undercooked beef. And I'm told that you can eat undercooked pork now, that there is no cysticercosis in our pork supply at all.
Wow.
So you can – but I'm not eating undercooked pork, but I'm just saying they are telling me that you could eat pork tartare now and it would be safe.
Have you ever eaten steak tartare or beef tartare? No, I haven't. No. I can't even imagine.
It's got the raw egg is what scares me about it. It's not the beef.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I don't like any of it. It just doesn't seem too appealing to me.
But you'll eat raw fish, though.
I will eat sushi.
So why is that different? Well, you don't eat meat anyway.
No,
so.
I guess because they come from the ocean. They've been washed and
right.
I don't know.
There's no shit or urine or feces in the ocean.
They've been thoroughly bathed.
Fish and whale feces and not on even including the human waste.
Right. Hey, by the way, speaking of
and mercury
going to the ocean, we're headed up to New England and Maine next week. We're gonna hopefully eat some good sushi. All right, back to brain worms. Blah blah.
Oh, wow, that is very interesting. Please tell me more.
Well, fine. So this family ate some undercooked bear. And they all got.
Does it say what brainworm it was?
Yes, it does. It starts with a T. And the reason, well,
is this a quiz?
No. It's I thought it was trichinosis, but it's not trichinosis. It's but the reason I thought this was kind of an interesting article is because the Kennedy, who's running for president, I guess, is saying he had a brainworm.
Oh, Robert Kennedy.
Yeah, Robert Kennedy. Yeah.
Do we know what his brainworm was?
I think it's this one. It's trichinoella.
Trichinella.
Trichinella. Yeah.
Okay.
And what they say is that this one particular type of brainworm is a resistance to freezing, but if you'll cook your food to at least 165 degrees Fahrenheit, you'll kill the parasite. So there you go. Make sure you eat your...
trichinella is a roundworm. It causes trichinosis, and they're called trichina worms, and they're nematodes. They got a one-way digestive tract. And let me see where we... Okay, let's just go to the CDC on this one. The life cycle is the encysted larva is in striated muscle. And see, this is what they're telling me that we don't have in the pork supply anymore.
Okay, trichinella, okay.
Because trichinosis and cysticercosis were the two things that you worried about with pigs. And so then they... and then you ingest undercooked meat, and then the larva is released in the small intestine, and the adults develop in the small intestine, and then the larvae go into your striated muscle and make cysts. And then these encysted larvae are in the striated muscle, and then there's a cycle in pigs and there's a cycle in bears. And you just have to cook your meat if you're going to eat this stuff.
Well, they're saying like in Canada, up to they hypothesize 50% of the bear and deer.
Well, just assume all of it does.
Well, yeah. I mean, you need to, but that's the important thing about cooking your meat thoroughly.
Let's see what Robert Kennedy had. It says Robert Kennedy brainworm. Since you brought it up, it says doctors found a dead worm in his brain. Goodness gracious.
That's not good.
Let me see.
I wonder how they found a dead. Did they do a cranium on him and actually pull it out?
I don't know. Isn't that something? But he had brain fog. He originally suspected that symptoms might be caused by a brain tumor. Brain scans in 2010 showed a cyst that his doctor said contained the remains of a parasite. So he might have had trichinosis. Wow. Oh, now they're saying here that it could have been a brain infection caused by the pork tapeworm Teniasolium. It's a big deal in Latin America, Sub-Saharan Africa, India, and other parts of Asia. Leading cause of acquired seizures. Neurocysticercosis is a major disease. Kind of funny that these are circumstances which people are paying attention to it. Yeah, that it's Robert Kennedy said that he had a brainworm. So, isn't that interesting?
Wild, yeah, it's crazy.
I was not aware that the pork tapeworm could infect the brain as well. Raccoon roundworms. Not that many people are eating raccoon meat. Rat lungworms can produce larvae that will travel through the human body in order to try to find tissue that they prefer, and they end up in the brain sometimes. It's just an accident. They don't prefer to be there. They just accidentally end up there. Wow.
I've got one more if you want it.
Yeah, heck yeah. That was a good one.
Yeah, thank you. That's nothing like show prep. Hey, so here's your next topic. This comes from the Wall Street Journal.
Oh, okay.
Anger does a lot more damage to your body than you realize.
Yeah.
So a couple things that anger does bother you. We've all had an idea that anger is not the healthiest thing for you.
Well, stress is bad, and anger induces a stress reaction.
Yeah. So scientists did some research, and they tested blood vessels in the periphery. So they did the cuffs on the arms and the legs and tested the blood flow through the arms and legs when they made people in one group angry.
How they make them angry?
Well, that's what I was. It didn't say how they made them angry. It just said
You're stupid.
It just said those in the angry group.
No, you are.
That's all it says. Those in the angry group. Hell, they probably made them listen to weird medicine or the poop talk, and they got angry. But so a couple things it does bother specifically is the gastrointestinal system. Because when you get angry, the sympathetic nervous system gets activated and shunts the blood away from the gut to the major muscles. So that slows your gastric your peristalsis, slows your gastric emptying. So people tend to get constipated. And of course, there's nothing like being cranky-pated, and that will affect your absorption and certainly of the nutrients into your body. The brain obviously is harmed, but it can cause anger over time can affect your cognitive functioning due to the high levels of stress hormones that are released, and can damage nerve cells in your prefrontal cortex in your hippocampus.
Well, it's interesting. So here, I asked, how do they? Wow, why is the camera going nuts like that? Sorry, I got distracted. How do they right? How do they induce anger in the laboratory? It says recalling personal memories, evoking the mood suggested by the sentence or memory. And there's this thing called the Velton mood induction procedure. They use images or film excerpts. But one of the fun ones that I just read about was some studies have found that people report increased anger in response to music like rap, heavy metal, or Japanese noise music. So they play music for these people. Like, whoa, those damn kids.
Damn kids, what music they listen to.
They ought to just have kids come up onto their lawn.
Yes.
Get off my lawn, you rascals. Autobiographic recall. Researchers may ask participants to think or write about a time in their past when they experienced anger. This is bullshit. That's not, that's the problem with this, is you're trying to study people's reaction to anger in a clinical setting, and then you have to use all these artificial means to induce anger. It's like the pain thing with rats where they'll put them on a hot plate and you see how long it takes for them to start dancing.
Yep.
Because, it's ridiculous. It doesn't really tell you anything.
Mm-hmm.
So I have some issues with this. Now, if they could get in somebody's face and just start screaming at them or something, like you get Gunnery Sergeant Hartman, to scream in their face.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're a disgusting fat body pile.
Yes.
Then maybe I could buy it.
Yeah.
But if you ask me to write down the last time I was angry, I can't do that. I have this weird inability to be able to do that. I can tell you about stuff that happened to me in the past that was fucked up. But if you said, when was a recent time that you were angry? And that happened to me the first time I went to a shrink. They asked me that.
Oh,
I said, I can't think of. I know that I was, but I can't think of it. They said that's very
suppression,
very significant, and then they never explain why.
I can tell you last time you were angry.
Can you? I can't.
Oh, I've got an idea.
Really?
Yeah. So it would be interesting if they allowed you to tell them what made you really angry.
Well, and then they could do it.
Like what makes me, drives me absolutely nuts is people driving in the passing lane on the interstate. From a certain state that's right next door to our state.
Yeah.
They barely make the speed limit. And they just kind of park over there and
what pisses me off, that's infuriating. What infuriates me is they put in all these roundabouts here, and nobody knows how to work them. I had a lady go onto a roundabout and take a left and start going the wrong way. And I really wanted to just go around the right way and meet her, in the middle and then just lay on the horn. That's really what I wanted to do.
Yep.
There's even a sign. They have signs that say, go this way.
Yep. And the natural inclation, at least in America, is to go to the right. I mean, that's
of course.
Kind of the way we do.
Literally took a left on a roundabout. And then I had another guy stop in the middle of the roundabout. Okay, I'm on one of the in ramps, right?
Yep.
And he just stops in the middle of it and waves me to come on in. Come on in. And I'm like, no. And he starts being very vociferous and waving, come on in, like that. And I kept shaking my head. No, you are a fool, sir. And so I finally just just sat back and put my hands at 10 and 2 and just looked straight forward until this idiot screeched off mad like I'm the asshole.
You're the jerk, yeah. Isn't that funny?
Idiots.
Yeah, I can't imagine. I'd like to hear some. Maybe that's what we should do one of these days. Get some of our trucker friends to tell us some of their favorite.
Yeah, well,
angry stories.
Or Brits about dumb Americans trying to drive in England.
Oh, God, that's going to be awful.
They have 2-lane roundabouts. How do you get out of the inner lane?
I guess you speed up.
I guess.
The centrifugal force.
It's very confusing.
Throws you to the outside, I guess.
Well, all right. That what you got for today? What was the second one?
The anger one. The anger one, yeah.
That's bullshit. All right. 1 for 2, not bad. All right, you ready to answer some questions?
Let's do it.
All right.
Number one thing, don't take advice from some asshole on the radio.
All right, let's try this one first.
Hey, Dr. Steve.
Hey, man.
My name is Jeff.
Hey,
I
Jeff.
am 55 years old. Recently, I had stomach pain, cramping up, really wasn't hungry, couldn't eat a whole lot. Hard to go to the bathroom. Actually, couldn't go to the bathroom for a day or so. Healthy, no history of cancer.
Okay, for one thing, when you hear about sharp abdominal pain and then they can't move their bowels, you start thinking about things like appendicitis and stuff like that, because the bowel gets so inflamed it just paralyzes.
There's no traumas. Maybe 25 pounds overweight, but very active.
Okay.
I had to go to the hospital this February with an intussusception just below my diaphragm. And they held me overnight to double check to make sure that it went away. They said it was rare in adults. And the next morning it went away. So fast forward another.
Sorry, I was distracted. My camera has an AI thing, and it's seeing Jim Florentine up on the wall and trying to zoom in on him. That's what's going on. I got to turn the lights on in here. But did he say he had an intussusception?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. We'll talk about that in just a second.
15 or 16 hours. Doubled over with pain. I couldn't stand up straight. I couldn't bend over. I went back to the hospital. They did imaging. They found what they thought was an internal hernia and or a blockage in my intestine. This was at Sunday morning at 6:30. They did surgery at 11:30 on Sunday. They found nothing. They did orthoscopy surgery, 4 holes in my stomach, 4 holes. The doctor searched the top.
Wait, 4 holes in his abdomen, it means. They didn't find holes in his stomach.
No.
Okay, all right.
The bottom and could not find anything. However, he did see where the intussusception was due to the irritation of the bowel or the intestine.
Yes, that's what he had.
What do you suppose could cause this?
Yeah, okay. So this guy had an intussusception, and what this is can be life-threatening. It's when part of the intestine folds on itself like a telescope, and one section slips inside the other like a sleeve. And when you do that, you've just got a crazy topographic kink in the bowel, and it will obstruct. And so food can't get through, gas can't get through. It causes intense pain.
And can cause, cellular death, blood,
Yeah, that's right. That's right,
in.
because the blood supply is cut off to that part of the bowel. If it's bad enough, that section of the bowel could actually die. So he had it. It resolved on its own. And then he went back because it came back and they did surgery and they saw where it had been. And it's almost like this, the intestine is eating itself, like the worm Ouroboros, where the worm is eating its own tail.
Swallowing itself.
Yeah, it's like, but so this resolved on its own. I'm assuming that they put a stitch or two there so to keep it from happening again, to sock everything down. But it's rare in adults. And it's challenging to identify because the symptoms mimic so many other things, and nobody's thinking about intussusception.
Right.
And, people could have symptoms for weeks before seeking medical attention. So what I'm hoping is that the bowel, once it was opened up, starts to scar down a little bit, and
it doesn't fold on itself anymore.
It won't fold in on itself anymore. Now, this can happen in adults because there's a polyp there, and it causes the bowel to sort of swallow itself. You could have adhesions. Anytime people do weight loss surgery, they increase the risk of intussusception. But things like Crohn's disease can cause swelling in the small intestine, and then the swollen section starts getting swallowed by the section distal to it that's got a nice thin wall instead of a big, thick, inflamed wall. So I'm hoping that they checked him for all of that stuff.
Sure.
And but if it never happens again, well, you have an interesting story to tell.
Yeah, because that is pretty rare.
Yeah, exceedingly rare. Intussusception. All right.
Hey, Dr. Steve. This is Matt from Connecticut.
Hey, Matt.
Just heard on the YouTube channel that you're running out of phone calls, so I wanted to throw my name in the ring.
Hey, thanks, man.
In the ring. I am a nurse. I've been a nurse about a year and a half. I was an accountant for many years, and I have horrible imposter syndrome. And I know you did medical second career choice, so how did you deal with, feeling inadequate or this feeling of, well, it's a matter of time before they realize I suck and I'm going to get fired? But I'm just curious how you handled that. Doing great, cardiac nurse, love it. Just always a little hesitant on my skills and stuff. Yeah. Thanks, buddy.
Well, it's a characteristic of type A and other sorts of personalities that you always feel that you're eventually someday going to be found out for being an imposter. And I had that for a while, and then I realized, no, I'm pretty fucking good at this. So no,
your ego stepped in and took over.
Yeah. I had compensatory narcissism until I got to the point where I didn't have to compensate anymore.
You were completely narcissistic.
Yeah, well, I don't have to, well, anyway, yeah, I don't have to behave that way anymore. But that's a tough one. You know what you have to do? It's just like, these serial killers that get away with it, and then they just live their life thinking, always looking over their shoulder, and eventually they just they get comfortable, and then forensics comes out with DNA, and then it's like, oh shit, and then they're knocking on their door, right? And so what you have to do is sort of cultivate that attitude that, yeah, I may feel like an imposter, but I've got to put one foot in front of the other. I got to do the work. And yeah, if you actually are an imposter, they'll catch up with you, but I'm going to guarantee you that you're not.
No.
Imposters, they look over their shoulder, but for different reasons.
Right.
Because they know they're going to get caught.
Yes, they know they're going to.
You were just thinking, well, I feel like an imposter, but deep down, you're not. Those people actually are imposters.
And he said two interesting things about that too. As long as he keeps his education, his CEUs up, I guess, and his license current, there's
nothing they can do.
There's nothing they can do. Number one, number two. But he talked about it being a second career, and I think most of the guys that we all know, medicine, healthcare was a second career for them.
Correct.
I think
was for me, for sure,
and me, and most of our friends too. That I can think. I can't think of just a handful of people that went straight through high school, college, and straight into medical school.
Yeah,
just a couple of them.
The fact that you're worried about that and that it makes you do better, and it means that you're conscientious. The people that just don't give a shit don't care about being they don't worry about things like this.
No.
Because you want to be good, they don't care.
Right.
So they don't worry about, someone's going to find out I'm not as good as they think I am because they don't give a shit. That just means that you care about the job that you're doing.
Right. And continue because it's such an important part of the healthcare system is the nursing component.
Yeah.
Keeping everybody.
Well, I think it's awesome too. I go through the ICU and half the nurses now are bros. And I really like that.
Yeah. Right.
There was a time back in the 80s, if you were a male nurse, people looked at you askance and, made certain assumptions about you that may or may not have been true. But now it's just a really common thing. I don't know what the percentage of men in nursing school is, but it's cool to see.
Yep. Yeah, I know a bunch of them too.
Yeah. All right.
Good stuff. Well, good luck, man.
Yeah, you'll be fine.
Just keep going to work.
Put one foot in front of the other.
And time will be your best friend.
Correct.
Even the Weird Medicine Crew. This is Kevin Kraft from Mad Scientist Party Hour.
Hey, Kevin. We haven't talked to Kevin in a long time. Say hello to Shuddy Boy and the rest of your group over there, and check out his show, Mad Scientist Party Hour. We used to be on Riotcast together, and but Kevin he's a different level than us. I mean, he goes and he fools around in very higher circles than we do.
Gotcha.
Yes.
Anyway.
It's been a minute. I hope you all are well.
Thanks,
I
man.
recently did a stunt on the show. I lost a bet, and the way that I had to pay up was chugging Gamutra, which is cow urine from India.
Okay.
Apparently, you can buy that on the internet.
You can.
So we bought a jug of cow piss.
Yay.
And I drank a whole bunch of it, and it's supposed to have all these supposed health benefits. And
not for
I
you.
don't think I got any of those.
No.
There's even been a couple people on the internet claiming that it helps prevent COVID, but I got COVID for the third time about a week or two after drinking the cow piss. So I just wanted to see.
They probably gave it to you.
Dr. Steve, are there any actual benefits to drinking cow pee?
Oh, no. Well, there's actual benefits to cow pee. There's a floor cleaning fluid called Gownile. It's marketed by an organization called Holy Cow Foundation. And it's used instead of phenol in government offices to clean floors.
Cool.
So, yes, there is some real benefit. It's also used in the production of rice as a fertilizer, and Jivamrutha is a fertilizer made from a mixture of cow urine, cow dung, jaggery, pulse flower, and rhizosphere soil. So, yeah, there are some real benefits for it. Now, the purported medicinal benefits, however, lack any substantiation whatsoever. There's lots of claims it can cure various ailments and that possesses unique therapeutic properties. That's not supported by the evidence at all. Now, I have an open mind. Is it possible that cows metabolize in such a way that there's a molecule in their urine that could be beneficial to humans? Sure. I mean, human urine, urea in urine is used to soften calluses and stuff like that, so there's some benefit there. But, I mean, this is a waste product.
Right.
And when you have an animal that is considered sacred, then every part of it is sacred, including its urine. And, in some cultures anyway. And so Zoroastrianism and a couple other, sorts of religions, some forms of Hinduism and others may find this substance, sacred. And then as a sacrament, then that's fine. It may have some benefit spiritually for some people. But as far as actually having any benefit, I mean, it's a waste product.
Mm-hmm.
People drink their own urine. It's like, well, I'm recycling B vitamins. Well, you're pissing them out because your body didn't need them.
Mm-hmm.
Just take a B vitamin. They're not expensive.
Mm-hmm.
I'll buy you vitamins.
Mm-hmm. Well, but and I wonder because I was just reading because I had not heard of this until right now. But
yeah,
I guess they do have a patent here on cow urine because they did find there's some. It has. Let's see.
You can't patent urine.
I'm just telling you, the cow urine distillate as a bioenhancer, helping with antimicrobial, anti-inflammatory effects. But I was just thinking, think about horse urine.
Yeah.
Oh shit!
Every time. Here we go.
Oh God.
Tacey, you're on Weird Medicine.
Oh my God, Steve, I'm in so much trouble.
Oh no, really? Do I need to stop the recording?
Yeah, I have spent.
Okay, hang on. Hang on. Don't say anything. Don't say anything. Hang on. Hang on. We'll be right back, everybody.
I want you to keep me on, dummy.
Oh, okay. Okay, sorry. Okay, she says she wants me. Okay, you're good. Okay, go ahead. Sorry. I'm an idiot. Go.
bar tab's like $2,000, and I've been meaning to tell you, but my credit card is maxed out since I quit working.
Okay.
So I don't think they're going to let me keep.
They're not going to let you what?
Leave.
Oh,
until
good.
I pay for it.
Oh, okay. Yay.
Cool.
Yay.
We'll send a car after you.
Yeah,
We'll send a car.
I'll box your clothes up and send them down there. Tacey's on vacation in Florida.
And we're not.
So.
Yeah,
all right. I didn't
Chris
get the.
to call it in, but he wouldn't do it.
Oh, yeah. Chris is our favorite bartender at the Beach House Suites by the Don Cesar in St. Pete Beach. Highly recommended. If you go there, say hi to Chris. Be on the bar. He's the greatest. All right.
So anyway.
Okay.
Well, I'm just wondering how the topics. I'm sure it's lacking.
Yeah. Do you want to do your
But
Tacey's
anyway.
time of topics right now?
No, I'm good.
Okay.
Casey's time of topics is that she has to go home today.
So what time are you
She's very
gonna?
sad.
What time are you coming home?
It might be 9.
Click.
Oh my God! How does she get to go on vacation? We have to work. I don't understand it. Oh shit! You don't ever hang up on the balls. Oh,
Are you hanging up on me?
it must
Yeah,
got
that was
dropped.
the joke.
It must be got dropped.
Oh, good. Oh, that's funny. I didn't get it.
Okay, I'll see you
All right,
later.
I'll see you.
Bye. Jesus. Okay, Dr. Scott. Well, where the hell were we? We were talking about cow urine.
Yeah, I think I was talking about how we used to use horse urine as a medicine.
Yeah, that's true.
For pregnant mares, right?
Pregnant mare's urine was Premarin.
Yeah.
It was a medication we used for menopause, which, of course, yes, it was derived from pregnant mare's urine. We didn't make them drink the urine. We, synthesized extracted the drug from it. But we also increased the risk of breast cancer in those women, too. So I wouldn't use that as a great example of a triumph of using urine in medicine.
It is a good, proper use of urine, though.
Yeah.
That is the case. But it is, I wouldn't suggest drinking it. That's for sure.
I'll do some, I have an open mind. I'll do some research and get back to you. I've been scanning PubMed and not really seeing anything worth anything. I did find one article that said that it's a precious gift to humankind, which to me points out the author's bias.
Okay. Well, yeah. I mean, that would make sense.
We'll go from there. Okay.
Does that mean that we're biased about the nasal sprays from Simply Herbal?
Of course.
Of course we are.
Of course you are.
Because it is the best.
No, that's why you have to do double-blind placebo-controlled studies. If we were going to study your nasal spray, if we just gave it to people, we would be biased and we would bias them at the same time through either directly or indirectly, consciously or unconsciously. So that's why we have to give them a placebo, and you and I can't know if it's a placebo, and the patient can't know.
Right. Yeah.
And then we can express our bias any way we want.
Right.
And then, but that should affect the placebo and the other medication equally.
Equally, right.
And if there's a real effect with the medication, there should be a statistically significant difference between it and the placebo.
Yeah.
So anyway, so let's finish Kevin's phone call.
Yeah, let's finish Kevin. Yeah.
Here, drink this glass of tea, and all will be well.
Right. It's the oldest trick in the book. Exactly right. Yeah, so good luck with that. But I'll do some research and see. If I find something really interesting, I'll bring it back here.
Right on. That's a great question.
All right. Yeah.
Not a great idea to drink.
Check out Kevin's show, Mad Scientist Party Hour.
All right. So we've got a fluid family question.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. Yep, absolutely.
Yeah. So we've got Crystal here, and she has a great question. Can IBS cause depression? If so, could depression medications not work if you don't get the IBS under control?
Yes.
That's an extra little part to that question.
I just did a thing for Normal World on this.
Okay, cool.
It was a piece on fecal transplantation.
Okay.
But we were talking about, could you transfer behaviors from one person to another? It sounds like a stupid question, but actually it's not. People with inflammatory bowel disease, when you correct for all of the symptoms that they're having, have more anxiety and depression than people who don't.
Okay.
And so there are these loose junctions in there. There's this thing called the enteral neuronal complex or whatever, but it's also called the second brain. It's that mind-gut axis.
Right.
And I know that and this is, again, anecdotal, single-person type, with an N of 1, but when I was drinking more kombucha, I was less depressed and I had less anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
And kombucha is a very, it's a potent probiotic. It has beneficial bacteria, but also has beneficial yeast. And people forget about the Saccharomyces yeast that are good for you.
Okay.
And so I highly recommend, and there are studies have shown that probiotics and prebiotics can improve mental illness.
Okay.
There are studies that show that people who have dysbiosis, which is a term that just relates to altered microbiota colonies. In other words,
they're out of balance.
Your bacteria and yeast are out of balance. They might have bad bacteria in there or whatever. That those people are more likely to be depressed and anxious.
Right.
So it depends on what kind of IBS you have. There's IBS-C, constipated people, IBS-D, which people have diarrhea, and then there's some people that alternate back and forth. It's combined. And but getting that colony of bacteria healthy in your gut really helps. So increase the fiber in your diet. That even if you have IBS-D, that will help. And I highly recommend Enterogam for people who have refractory irritable bowel syndrome. It's basically cow. It's cow blood. Hey, you talking about drinking cow blood? No, it is in the cow's blood, but you don't drink the blood. It's something that's extracted from it that's beneficial, which are its immunoglobulins. And you ingest that. It gets into your bowel and then will attach to certain bacteria or quote-unquote toxins or other things that are causing inflammation in the bowel wall, and keep them from touching the bowel wall. They will prevent them from coming into contact with the wall, and so the inflammation goes down, the irritable bowel syndrome gets better.
Right. I'm sorry, I was going to add to that too, and another thing, in addition to taking supplements and medications or identifying, if you can, through elimination diets, things that may be causing your irritable bowel.
Oh, right.
And I would start there first.
Like an elimination diet?
Like an elimination diet, yeah. And sometimes it's something you would never
tell them
think
how
of.
they would do that.
Well, like for me, for instance, I got lucky and found out what was causing a lot of my inflammatory bowel. Onions and garlic.
Yeah.
And I started every dinner, because I'm like Dr. Steve, I cook most of our dinners. And everything, it seems like you put your onions and saute your garlic in there to flavor your oil. And when I found out that might be causing my inflammatory bowel to be worse, I took those out and I saw a big difference. I just switched. It's simple elimination diet. I just put in ginger. I use ginger and fennel seed now.
Right.
To flavor a lot of the
There was
dishes.
a woman on Survivor who found out that she had celiac disease.
Okay.
Because when they go on Survivor, all they give them is a big bag of rice, and everything else they got to forage for.
Okay, gotcha.
And it was gluten-free, and she went there always having horrible bowel symptoms.
Wow.
Her name was Stephanie. And, after a month of being there, she was symptom-free, and that's when she realized
Isn't that wild? Yeah, and it certainly is a great example of elimination diet. And again, you have to think of things that you would never, ever think of. And sometimes it's things
because if you would think of it, you wouldn't do it.
You wouldn't do it. Yeah, I mean, it may be a peanut, it may be an almond, it may be cereal. Who knows? But try something. Any damn thing is better than nothing.
Right.
And then adding in these other things.
Well, how would you do an elimination diet, though?
You know what?
How would you recommend that somebody do it?
I would start an elimination diet with the things that I eat the most regularly. Okay. And the things that I drink the most regularly. If I drink a lot of tea or if I drink a lot of sodas, I'll start by eliminating one of those two things. If I eat a lot of cereal in the morning, I would stop with cereal and replace it with an egg or toast or something.
Yeah.
Or vice versa. If like I did personally, garlic and onions every single night. As soon as I stopped that, I started seeing it. And, the big thing with me, too, and I don't know if I ever told you this, one of the reasons why I stopped eating meat for the most part is because of chicken. A buddy of mine had an irritable bowel. He had to quit eating meat, and he needed some help and coaching. So I agreed. I said, "Well, I'll just be a vegetarian with you." And as soon as I stopped eating chicken, my knee pain, the osteoarthritis in my knees went from a 10 to a 0 in about 2 weeks.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah, it was crazy.
Wonder why?
Well, so I did some research on it, but the protein molecules in chicken are just a hair larger than in beef. And a hair larger than they are in pork, certainly in fish. So it was doing kind of similar with my gout. Like the purines were lodging in my knees.
What?
Yeah, no, the proteins in I'm telling you, man. And I bet you 100 people the same thing.
Yeah.
Then they've quit, and to this point, I've been right.
Damn it.
So yeah, chicken.
Well, this I'm looking here. It just says the elimination diet is divided into 2 phases: elimination and reintroduction. Elimination phase is 2 to 3 weeks. You remove foods that you suspect may trigger your symptoms, and like Scott said, think of stuff that you wouldn't already normally think of, and then it could be nuts, corn, soy, dairy, citrus fruits, any of the nightshade vegetables, wheat, gluten, pork, eggs, and seafood, and then reintroduce one at a time. And if your symptoms go away during the elimination phase, then you're going to find out what it is. And then as you do your reintroduction, introduce each food individually over 2 to 3 days. And I'd probably go 5 days.
Easily, yeah. And sometimes it takes a little bit longer than that. It just depends on your and Dr. Steve, people question me about this a lot of times in my clinic, and I'll tell them, well, I just eat a little bit of it, and I remind them you don't have to be allergic or sensitive to much of anything. I mean, sometimes it's just kids that have peanut allergies, they could just sniff a peanut.
That's right.
They don't even have to eat it, so it doesn't. You don't have to eat a lot of something.
Well, sure, for
it to affect you.
Yeah, poison ivy is triggered in parts per billion.
Right. Yeah. It just takes a little bit of shit to make you miserable.
Yeah.
So yeah, you may not have to take away a lot, or you may have to take away the entire thing. But but start with something and then slowly reintroduce, and you'll figure it out pretty quickly.
People who actually have celiac sprue, who have antibodies to certain parts of the gluten molecule, can't have any. They can't have a little bit of breading. I'm gluten sensitive. I could have a little bit of breading. It doesn't seem to bother me so much, at least not that I'm aware of. But they can't have any.
There's a big difference between sensitive and allergy.
That's right.
Big difference.
All right. Okie dokie. You got anything else from Fluid Family?
Just to follow up. Yeah,
it's okay. I've got a couple more here, so go ahead.
Yeah, well, let's go with this one. I've got, because this is kind of a follow up from the Crystal gal earlier with the IBS and the depression. Had a colonoscopy at age 23 because she had gone for over a month without a poop.
What?
Yeah, exactly. And the doctor said maybe it's normal for me not to go at the time, and she said that just sounded so wrong.
Yeah.
That is kind of wrong.
Yeah, it's some people have a lazy bowel, and that can be caused by a lot of things, including childhood encopresis and things like that. We've talked about that before, where the bowel gets so distended that it gives up on trying to contract. But I think a month is excessive.
I think a month.
They say what's normal is what's normal for you, but we're talking, between twice a day versus, once every 3 days, but not 30 days.
No, not 30 days. And you would think that would be a pretty miserable bowel movement because you're still continuing.
Is she still in the chat room?
Yeah, she is. Yeah.
Gosh, I wish she could call in. I would love to know what the prep was like. Did she actually, during the prep, did she crap out a month's worth of stool?
30 days worth of food, I would assume. Of course, she might have been so dilated and distended in her abdomen, she had almost quit eating, I would wonder.
No, maybe.
Maybe. She just had so much abdominal pain.
Let us know about that, Crystal. I'm very interested in that while I get this question going. We'll come back to that.
How you doing?
Hey, good, man. How are you?
Good. I'm well, thanks.
Good.
Dr. Scott, good to hear from you, and Casey.
Hello.
Question for you guys.
Hey, thanks, man.
Long-term use of PPIs. I have taken them now for, maybe 10, 15 years.
Yeah.
And I just can't seem to get off them.
Me too, my brother.
The H2 blockers. I've tried all the lifestyle changes. nothing helps. And I know there's research out there about long-term use.
Yeah.
I'm just hoping that you can make me feel better that I'm not basically leading myself to an early death.
Yeah, no, this one, I've known about this for some time. I'm on high-dose PPIs or proton pump inhibitors for reflux, and there's two reasons why people don't get off of them. And there's two problems with them significantly, but one of the reasons people don't get off of them is this thing called rebound acid hypersecretion. So when people try to stop the PPI, their gut will produce 2 and 3 times the acid that it was before for a short period of time, but you can't tolerate it.
Right, it's just awful.
Yeah, it was horrible. We had a friend who it was supposed to be on dexlansoprazole, and they gave her duloxetine instead, and she took it for 2 weeks and couldn't understand why. She was just absolutely miserable because her stomach was, she wasn't actually taking a PPI. She was taking an antidepressant.
Right.
And so she had a horrible, horrible reflux.
Really?
But so I did a deep dive on this one.
Okay.
And went to PubMed and just looked at prolonged PPI and risk. And here we go. A proton pump inhibitor, cancer risk, comprehensive review of epidemiologic and mechanistic evidence. Prolonged pump inhibitor use and thrombohemorrhagic risk. Here we go. Association between duration of and indication of proton pump inhibitor and gastric polyps. Increased infection risk in cystic fibrosis. Now that one makes sense. Here you go. Risk of epilepsy after long-term proton pump inhibitor therapy. I mean, the list just goes on and on and on. So I need to get off of these damn things myself. So I went to a compounding pharmacy and said, can you compound this stuff so that, like, I'm taking 60 milligrams and I would take 50, 40, 30, 20 and work my way down like that? And they said no. So because it's the stuff's already on the market, they can't put something in a capsule that's already on the market. They could put it maybe in a lozenge or something like that, but it doesn't work with those drugs. So I'm going to have to do it myself. Now, they do sell, I'm on lansoprazole. I take 60 milligrams a day.
Okay.
They do sell 15 milligram versions, so I take 2 30s. I could take a 30 and a 15, and then take a 30 and a nothing, and then take a 15 and then get off of it. So I'm going to try to do that. And in the meantime, then I'll take famotidine.
Okay.
The problem with famotidine is it's an antihistamine. It's an H1 antihistamine. And, I don't know if famotidine, promotes dementia risk like other antihistamines do, but I'm going to have to, by God, find out. Either that or I'm going to have to start taking, carrying a thing of mustard around with me like Dr. Scott counsels people to do.
Yes, and it can help. It can help some. It's not going to fix it, but it might help give you some instant relief.
Well, you remember the last time I tried this?
Yep.
I had horrible reflux, and we brought some
upstairs.
Yeah, it was right here. Yep. We did up here, and I was amazed at how it actually did work. But it was very short lived.
Yes,
it wasn't enough.
No,
because I have no symptoms normally, but I know I'm putting myself at increased risk. So I'm going to try to get off of it, brother. Let's do it together. And but that's the only way we can do it. I was hoping that they could make a liquid concoction, and that way you could infinitely titrate it. You could go down by 5 milligrams a week or something.
Right.
So
there's no powder form.
Well,
I wonder if you. I mean,
go ahead.
I'm sorry. I don't know. I don't mean to sound stupid, but there's
no.
not a powder.
It's not stupid.
Yeah, I guess could you crush them possibly? And
they come in these little pellets, and apparently that's part of the delivery system.
Okay.
So I don't know. I'm going to have to do some more research. But this guy calling in kind of stimulated me to think about this again, because it's real easy to just go, well, I'm just going to keep on doing what I'm doing, put one foot in front of the other, and not look backward. And then you get hit with something. You go, God, I wish I'd done something about that. Which, by the way, same with smoking. If you're smoking, say, I'm going to quit tomorrow. You're not. Quit today. Just put them down. What's the worst that's going to happen to you? You're going to be uncomfortable.
Yeah.
That's it.
A couple of days, that's it.
Well, a little longer than that, but still. So what? It's not like quitting opioids where you're going to be absolutely miserable, and not only are you going to be miserable, but you put yourself at risk for acute post-withdrawal syndrome, which can go on for 2 years after you go through cold turkey, or alcohol cold turkey, which can kill you, and or benzodiazepine, Valium withdrawal can be also very dangerous.
Sure.
But cigarettes just makes you uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
And you can look at all the other idiots out there smoking and go, yeah, you stupid motherfucker. From day one, you can feel superior to them.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And then at day 14, well, maybe a year or two, within 14 days, your risk of sudden death goes back to normal.
Right.
And then within a few years, your risk of all other diseases related to tobacco abuse go back to normal. So it's a good thing to do.
Good thing.
All right, my friends. Before we get out of here, what has he got from the Fluid family?
Well, we've got a couple of great questions, and we have a follow-up from Crystal.
Okay.
She did say that she could call in. It might be easier because it seems like quite a story. But she said when she goes a long time without going to the bathroom and finally is able to go, it feels like she's having many contractions, which she'd never even realized what that was until she had her first child.
Yeah.
And then, let's see, she says she does kind of fill up the toilet a couple of times in one setting. And
she probably goes multiple times.
And once weighed herself before and after one of her episodes, and she'd lost 10 pounds.
Oh, my God.
God bless it.
Well, okay, I have some ideas for her, but gosh, I don't know what she's done and what she hasn't done.
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you what, Crystal, email me. Which Crystal is it?
Williams.
Okay, yeah, okay. We have a Crystal that's in the Patreon.
Okay.
If you want to, just email me. We'll do a back and forth. I'll ask you some things see if you've tried them.
Yeah.
But a lazy bowel like that is very difficult to treat. But there are medications now specifically made for lazy bowel. One of them is called procalipride, and it's what they call a promotility agent. We used to have cisapride back in the day, and the problem was that cisapride induced some really funky cardiac rhythms.
Right.
But procalipride doesn't, and it's the same type of drug.
And there's some other things that may, depending on what she's tried, not tried, but sometimes TENS units stimulating the bowels. The TENS unit pads, you can put those on
externally.
Externally, yep.
Okay.
Yeah, sometimes the acupuncture I'll actually put little needles around the abdomen and stimulate with the electrical
that's
stimulation.
Interesting. Well, find a DOM if you're going to do that, though.
Yeah,
Not
please.
Some weekend warrior that went to a class in Atlanta and then came back and put up a shingle saying they're an acupuncturist.
Yeah, this is not crap. This is not drug anything, but there may be some other things that might help her a little bit anyway.
Yeah. Email us.
So good luck with that. And Talia, she's got a 36-year-old husband, had an inguinal hernia repaired, left side about 3 weeks ago, healing pretty well, but has a lot of tightness and some pain in the jungle region. Will that persist for long?
Well, what do you think?
I'd say it's probably it depends on the scarring that he's got down there.
Yeah.
So
what did he have?
So he had an inguinal hernia. So that's going to be pretty sore for a little while, but it should resolve.
They're dicking around your dick.
Yeah.
And around the nerves that feed the taint and the genitalia and stuff, and then there's scarring and those things all. Yes, so the tightness that you're feeling may persist for some time. It could. I usually tell people at 12 weeks you kind of know what you're going to have. But even then, if you've got something that's caused by a tight scar, those can relax over time with ongoing stretching with the body through normal activity. And one day, maybe 6 months from now, you'll go, hey, wait, I haven't had that symptom in a while. I don't, and it'll go away so gradually that you don't notice it.
And may I add too, one really gentle stretch that could help possibly is laying on a bed or couch and letting the leg that you had the inguinal hernia on off. So you're laying on your back and allow the leg that you had the surgery side on, letting it off of the bed or off of the couch.
So it stretches
So it stretches the front of your thigh a little bit. Very gently.
Don't do ballistic stretching.
No.
In other words, don't jerk it up and down.
And don't let somebody stretch it for you.
Right.
Do not. This should be a passive, gentle stretch.
Right.
And just in that way, if there is still some scarring occurring, maybe it'll get some fluid movement.
Yep, very good. Nick Illig, thanks for the $5 super chat. Says, happy Memorial Day weekend. I was curious how one would tell the difference between cardiac problems and anxiety. Do both feel similar?
Ooh.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So cardiac problems can cause anxiety, and anxiety can cause. So, what are the symptoms of a cardiac problem? Well, it could be palpitations.
Anxiety.
Yeah. Right.
We'll keep going.
Well, palpitations,
Anxiety.
chest pain,
Anxiety.
shortness of breath,
And anxiety.
right.
All of the above.
Tingling in the left arm, not so much anxiety,
much,
but
no.
it could be you could get tingling in
Because
both
you're-
your arms from hyperventilation.
And you can think you're starting to get some tingling down there, which is
and sweating,
Yeah.
and those kinds of things. So yes, now normally the cardiac stuff will be reproducible with exertion,
Right.
whereas the anxiety will be reproducible situationally.
Right.
So that's the way that you can normally tell for yourself, but you don't have to just be on your own. Go tell your primary care about it. There's a defined workup for this,
Right.
and then they can tell you, yeah, your heart's fine. This is something else.
Yeah.
And then, there are other things that can mask it or mimic it as well, one being hyperthyroidism,
Yeah.
So
Reflux, bad reflux.
Yeah, yes, that's right. The first time that I had a spasm on my esophagus,
Oh God, it's terrible.
I thought that I'm like, okay, this is it.
Yep.
I'm having the big one. Had, unbelievably sharp, but it was sharp, but it was dull at the same time, if that makes any sense. Right in the middle of my sternum, and it wasn't accompanied by anything else. So I was thinking, oh gosh, am I having an aortic dissection? The pain was that bad. And the weird thing was, something compelled me to go to the faucet and drink cold water. And as soon as I did, it completely went away, which told me this is something GI, not cardiac.
Yeah.
Now, there are people who will have a thing called costochondritis, which is an inflammation of the joint between the rib cage and the cartilage. And you can reproduce that by pressing on their chest wall. That also would not be consistent with heart attack.
Right.
Pushing on the chest wall won't make any difference in that situation. Excellent question, though, Nick.
Yeah.
Let me see. I'm running through here. Myrtle Manus, thanks for the 20 Weird Medicine memberships. If you want to receive free memberships to the channel, which maybe someday there will be a benefit to it, right now it just supports the channel, but we'll do some member specific content if we get enough members. But just go click join and then on our YouTube channel, and then right next to there is a button that you can click to accept gifted memberships. And then when somebody buys a bunch of memberships to the channel, you can receive one of those. And Talia was one of those today. She's now a member, but she wasn't before Myrtle did that. So anything else over there? You said you had a few other ones that you wish these people would call in. Well, give them to me. Let's see.
Yeah, let's see if I'm scaling back through them. Let's see. Chris Mack, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, this one actually was good. Chris Mack and Ween were going back and forth, talking about being addicted to opiates, and and addiction to opiates causing profound opioid-induced constipation.
Yes,
and having
just a use of opioids. You don't have to be addicted to get that.
Well, he was actually addicted, and had to go, I guess, to the hospital.
Well, that is an adverse effect of all opioids is paralyzing the bowel.
Yeah. So and having to go and disimpact, manually disimpact. So this whole the show has been about poop.
It usually is anyway. The whole show is poop. When you are taking opioid chronically, whether you're using or abusing, it's going to cause constipation. In the vast majority of people, we have some cancer patients it doesn't because they have diarrhea already, so they're thankful for it. But we counsel people when, the Cicely Saunders, the founder of hospice, in England said, and this has been attributed to her, I'm not sure that she actually said this, but the hand that writes the strong opioid should write a bowel regimen at the same time. And so you have to be proactive. Don't wait until your bowel is full of concrete.
Right.
We usually recommend that people take polyethylene glycol. It's sold as Miralax, but you can buy it Glycolax or CVS brand, whatever.
Gentle Lax, whatever.
Whatever it is, but it's polyethylene glycol. It's odorless tasteless powder, and you put it 1 to 2 cupfuls in water or any other drink. I take it and I put it in water, and then if that doesn't cut it, if you go 24 to 48 hours without having a bowel movement, then they recommend a bowel stimulant like Senna, which you can buy over the counter, or Bisacodyl, which is sold as Dulcolax over the counter. So you have the polyethylene glycol to keep things sort of soft so that they don't turn to concrete. And then if you need that bowel stimulation, you take a bowel stimulant. Now, don't take too many of those, and don't take those every day. Because if you take them every day, now you'll get dependent on those. I'm talking about the bowel stimulants, because they kill a part of the bowel called the Auerbach plexus that's responsible for contraction of the bowel. And when you kill that, now you're going to have a bowel like Crystal that's just lazy and isn't moving. And some people are born without that, and that causes a thing called Hirschsprung's disease, where they have a big, giant, dilated bowel that will not contract.
Right.
But anyway, all right.
Yep.
What else you got? Did you have another one?
Yeah, let's do very last one. So Buckman has, if Ozempic has no effect, what are some alternatives?
Okay, I'm assuming that he means for weight loss, not for diabetes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would assume so, yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to make that assumption. Well, there are a bunch of other ones. There's tirzepatide, and some of these things have the same activity. Some have combined activity.
Okay.
Tirzepatide is Mounjaro, but it's sold, I think that one is sold as Wegovy. I can't remember which one. Let me look it up.
Okay.
Tirzepatide, TIR. CE, there we are. Okay, tirzepatide.
Tirzepatide
is sold as Mounjaro and Zepbound. Okay, there you go. And so that one tends to be more effective for people that have not had good results with Ozempic. And Ozempic is semaglutide.
Okay.
And it seems that tirzepatide is more effective than semaglutide, not only for losing body weight, but for controlling blood sugar. And that's according to a meta-analysis of a bunch of studies that was recently presented at the European Association for the Study of Diabetes in Hamburg, Germany. So it is superior. But then there's other things as well. I mean, there aren't just drugs. You know, there is bariatric surgery for people who have tried everything, and those things have failed to help them. And there's also just, dietary changes and those kinds of things, obviously, that doesn't work for me. Used to. I used to be able to drop 40 pounds at the drop of a hat, and now I just do not have the willpower. So I finally ate all the chocolate in my house. I said, I'll just eat it all. I'll just eat it all, and I won't have it, right? And then one night I was craving it, and I was walking around. I was like an alcoholic looking for a bottle, a pint that I stashed somewhere, going all through the house looking for chocolate stuff. I finally just got in my car and went to CVS and bought a bunch of their crappy chocolate.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. Yeah, it's terrible. Being an addict sucks. But, one of these days I will lose the weight. Well, probably.
Maybe.
When I have stage 4 cancer or something. God. And then I'll go, why didn't I do this before?
Right.
But anyway.
All right.
Yeah, it's tough. It's a tough one. All right, my friends.
Good luck,
we have
guys.
we need...
phone calls.
Phone calls, absolutely. We're down to 2015 on our backlog. But we had quite a few this time, and there was one we didn't get to, which was one about what is a quadruple bypass, which we'll get to next week. All right? Very good. Well, thanks, everybody. Thanks to everyone who's made the show happen over the years. Most importantly, our listeners, whose voicemail and topic ideas make this job not necessarily easy, but fun and challenging. Thanks to the Fluid family who hang out in the waiting room when we record. I don't know why you all do that, but thank you for doing it.
Yes, thank you.
We really appreciate it. And listen to our Sirius XM show on the Faction Talk channel, Sirius XM channel 103, Saturdays at 7 p.m. Eastern, Sunday at 6 p.m. Eastern, on demand, another time of Jim McClure's pleasure. And go to our website, drsteve.com, and Dr. Scott's website at simplyherbals.net. Until next time, check your stupid nuts for lumps, quit smoking, get off your asses, get some exercise. We'll see you in 1 week for the next edition of Weird Medicine. Oh, check out my Instagram, too. Andy from A. Hines Media has been putting a bunch of stuff up on there, and there's a lot more cool stuff. So Instagram.com/weirdmedicine. Thanks, everybody.